Bonjour. Donc, moi aussi, je vais parler en français parce que je vois
Okay, I'll speak in French as well. I'm going to talk a little about the
l'expérience
experience we had
en
in
Mauritanie qui met en
Mauritania,
valeur
which
des produits pastoraux. Donc, en utilisant uniquement
drew attention to
des
the
populations
value
autochtones
of pastoral
sénégalaises.
products, in
Donc,
particular with
ça se passe en
respect to fresh
Mauritanie, qui est
milk.
un
So
pays
this is
sahélien avec
from
une très grande
Mauritania, a large
autonomie
Sahelian
et
country.
un faible PIB per capita,
There's
et
quite
aussi
a
un
low
cheptel beaucoup plus important
rainfall.
que la population. Tiviski, donc une entreprise privée,
So I'm talking here
créée
about
en
Tiviski, a
1987,
private
établit son
company
premier
which
produit en
was
89
set up
et
in
qui désormais va
87,
se vendre
which
en carton. Donc on
started
s'intéresse
producing
à relever un peu
fresh
le
milk in
potentiel
cartons as of
laitier du cheptel
1989.
pastoral et les
They wanted
consommateurs
to
urbains
create the link
qui
between the
laitiers à la
potential
base
of fresh milk produced
d'aliments
by
animaliers.
the herds
Donc ça a
and
commencé par un
the potential
financement
consumers in urban
initial
areas. So we started
très
off
élevé
with a
et d'autres
small
ont suivi qui ont tous été
factory
rentabilisés. Donc
which
l'investissement
benefited
cumulé
from
en 2014
outside funding. We're talking about overall investments of about 40 million euros, about an
production
average
journalière
turnover of
autonomie
3
de 20
million.
litres
Here we're
par jour,
talking
complètement
anything between 12 and
saisonnière
22,000
et
litres per
variable
day. This varies
et
according to the seasons,
législative
and from year to year, there are
avec
about 1,000
200
families
employés.
who supplying milk and
Direct et
about
indirect sont estimés à 3000 et il y avait
1,000
des finances publiques
employees.
financement
If we
d'investissement
look along the whole length of the chain, we're
Tiviski
talking
collecte
about
les
3,000 employees.
chez les fournisseurs, chez les
So
éleveurs.
we
Donc,
get
un par un, il n'y a pas de
our milk
ferme, il n'y a pas
from
de grands
the
éleveurs. Il y en a qui amènent 1 litre,
pastoralists.
200
Some people
en
bring
toute différentes
100
manières.
liters. Some
Les
people
femmes,
only
les
bring
hommes,
1 liter. We're talking
etc.
about all sorts of different type of people, men,
L'usine en
women.
fait collecte du lait à travers des transporteurs
The
privés
factory
que
collects
les
milk from private
autochtones
transporters
vous
who
voyez
collect the
dans la brousse. Ce lait il est
milk directly from the
égoutté,
bush.
pesé, filtré, puis
It's
refroidi et
weighed, filtered,
transporté
and then
vers la capitale où il
cooled, and then it's transported
est
to the
rapidement emballé
capital.
pour le mettre dans des emballages en carton
And then
qui
we
puissent suivre
transfer the milk to
exactement
cartons after having
une semaine
pasteurized it,
dans
which allows us
des
to
petites
make
boutiques.
sure it survives for at
On
least a
a eu beaucoup
week.
de problèmes dans les
Clearly,
premières
there
années.
are many. We had many
Essentiellement,
teething
ont
problems,
finalement été atteints et depuis,
but now we do
vous pouvez
make
voir,
a profit.
la saisonnalité du
You
lait
can see
existe,
that the amount of milk
surtout on
varies
peut
depending
voir
on
la
the
faiblesse
period of
du
the year, and we
système
can see
qui est
that
basé sur
there
le lait
is a weakness on a system
pastoraux.
based
Quand il y a de la
solely on milk,
sécheresse
because
comme
if
il y
there
a
is a drought, as we saw in 2004,
actuellement,
well, then we see
quand il y a une hausse du prix
uh,
des céréales
the levels of milk
le
collapse.
lait n'est plus disponible parce que
And
les
because if
éleveurs
there
ont
isn't enough
l'aliment qui
cereals
est
about, then
alors beaucoup de
it's
petits
difficult
filles
for pastoralists to afford the fodder for their
en
animals.
particulier des défis liés au lait pastoral, donc
Now,
les énormes distances à
there are some
parcourir
specific
entre
problems
le
relating to
dépôt et le
pastoral
marché dans
milk.
lequel les produits vont être
There's the
vendus,
distance
la faible
between the
productivité du bétail
herds and where
qui
the product is to be
est
sold.
liée à l'environnement dans lequel
There's
il survit,
certain
l'abondance
issues related to the livestock, related to the environment in which they live, the lack of infrastructure, so there are no roads and so on and so forth. They live in the
le climat
bush, so there's many things which
très
aren't
aléatoire
available.
et
We've
une
touched upon climate as an
qui
issue, and then the supply of milk varies depending on the season. So we've either got too much milk, or sometimes we don't have enough milk. And then we have a quality of unpasteurized milk, which we always have to make sure is of a certain standard. But the lack of qualified labor is very clear. Then we see massive imports of milk from abroad, and that poses a problem as well when it comes to trying to gain a foothold on the local market. There's not much support of the to the national industry, and because of this, that means in turn there isn't much support for local pastoralists who then prefer to sell their milk to the factory. So the job of the factory is to process the milk. It doesn't own any animals. This has been the case since 1989. As a result of this program, many pastoralists have been able to escape poverty. So when they are able to sell their milk, and if they're able to distinguish which animals are productive in producing milk and those which aren't, well, this helps them get through difficult years. So these are an example of some of the products which we produce. We produce milk, cheese, and other dairy products, and we've noticed that consumers enjoy this wide range of good quality produce. So generally speaking, we're talking about the local market, and to try and contend with these problems of supply depending on the time of the year, we started producing UHT milk, which we wanted to export to Europe. Unfortunately, the EU couldn't accept these products because we didn't have a laboratory to verify the safety of these products. We see, so we had problems as well that local retailers didn't want to move towards the export of this product. Access to the ECOWAS market was also closed. So because of that, the factory is working below capacity. There are a number of ecological consequences because of this, because we've seen that there's been an increase in livestock around collection points, and as has already been touched upon, the pastoralist pasture is very vulnerable. And we've tried to strike a balance between the cost of transport and the cost of feed. What we've noticed is that the production of fodder could be useful for farmers, and we know now that pastoralism is well managed, is in fact good for the environment. Now, we try to market these products in urban areas, so we need a market for that. And what we have is a system of companies through which we need to try and market these products. Pastoralists themselves aren't able to do this, although they can benefit from assistance. I don't think be forcibly pushed towards this sort of system. So we have a system of support to pastoralists, including veterinary assistance, and doing all of this via the factory allows us to pay for some of these services with taking the money off the money they would have earned selling the milk. It's very important, and this is sometimes misunderstood. People often feel that anything which goes via a company is negative, because people generally think that the benefit will only accrue to the company, but this isn't the case. Everybody here benefits. So in conclusion, we think it's very important to try and develop the markets, and this will help us create local value added, and this will also provide a secure income for a pastoralist organization. It would be important for the government to set up policies which favor pastoralists, and it's also important that they try and promote the selling of local products on the internal market. It's also important that we make credit available to private businessmen, because currently they have to take on quite a serious fight, but without much outcome for them. Thank you very much.